Welcome back. It's Thursday. Had an email today from Gerald Celente, our first guest tonight. Let me just read it. Dateline, Kingston, New York. In my 32 years of forecasting trends, never have I been more troubled about what's going on in the world today and where the future is heading. I've had premonitions before, which were borne out by events. But only once before in my lifetime have I had a premonition as powerful as this. That first premonition came 10 months before 9/11, when I forecast in my top trends for 2001 that Americans wouldn't be safe at home or abroad anymore. On December 14th, 2000, USA Today, covering my forecasts, ran this headline: 2001 will not be our year, Trend Seer says. And began the story with this warning. Get ready, America. If a Trendmeister's predictions are on target, 2001 will be no walk in the park. And now, in August of 2012, what I see ahead is even more troubling than what I foresaw back then. The what to expect, why it will happen, and what to do about it are all spelled out for you in the summer issue of the TrendsJournal. Available right now. Just go to TrendsResearch.com and get your copy. They are priceless. Gerald, welcome back.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jeff.
I was thinking earlier, some people, and not the folks who listen on this program, because I understand I'm not a negative person, I'm a realist. There's a huge difference. The people who don't want to hear, the sheep who don't want to be told they're heading down the chutes to the final slaughter and the big building ahead, don't want to hear about it. They'll call, you're negative. No, I'm a realist. You are at least my equal and then some. You've been at this 32 years. Trends are realism. They're not hocus pocus. They're not anything less than the truth. And when I say I look around on this godforsaken planet, and we've made it that way, we, this alleged sentient species, have made it that way, and the great majority who have done nothing by our silence we allow are directly responsible for it. Everywhere I look, and everywhere you look, Gerald, and most of you listening, what do we see? Death, tragedy, crime, corruption, horror, debauchery, immorality, perversion, you name it. And that seems to be the general rule, not the exception, the rule of what we call common social existence now. It is grim, and it is getting grimmer. And thank God you people care, or you wouldn't be here listening, because you, and only you, and a few others, will have the knowledge and the wisdom, thanks to Gerald and Trends Research, to deal with this. You're literally in a survival mode. Your fight or flight instincts are probably triggered much of the time, at least intellectually, when you look at the lies and the horror that are spewed out of the controlled mainstream media onto us and into us around the clock. And with that, I yield the floor to the gentleman from New York.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know what to say after what you just said. It's you summed it all up. The fish rots from the head down, and society's rotten from the head down. As we point out in the Trends Journal, only an imbecile can't see that the banking system is rigged. The LIBOR scandal proved it. It also proved how really rigged it is. It only made 12 minutes of the U.S. national nightly news broadcasts.
Right.
It wasn't even broadcast on ABC or NBC or Fox's major shows. And it only got a very limited coverage on CBS. And you see what's going on with these Terror Tuesdays. I guess we're 2 days off. You and I could have talked about, who should the United States assassinate in what countries, because some clowns are saying these are, quote, suspected terrorists. And, of course, the ongoing wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Oh, how many people were killed yesterday in Iraq? Oh, only about 40. And again, a couple of NATO soldiers, they don't say U.S. soldiers anymore, were killed for a fruitless battle. Mm-hmm. And, trillions spent, millions killed, and there's no protest in the street. Nobody cares. And then you look at what's going on on the presidential reality show. I was listening, waiting to go on the air and listening to the news that was being broadcast on the Rense channel and listening to Obama and Romney. It's high school USA listening to these. The other thing, too, Obama's on the road like every day, campaigning.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't this guy have a job?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't he supposed to be running the country? I'm serious. Every day.
I know. Oh,
he's not a front man. He's a stooge.
Total.
And you can see it with this two-bit act. Yeah. And then you listen to the rhetoric, coming out of the mouths of both of them.
Oh, if you can. Hideous.
And people argue which freak is the best, and they get angry if you don't believe in their freak.
They actually do.
They do. Oh, yeah.
Do. I know.
And then
Scary
here's
stuff.
the deal. From the top to the bottom, as I said, the fish rots from the head down. So you have the people down at the bottom scamming the welfare system, going on disability they shouldn't. Now, if I was a different guy, still growing up in the Bronx, and seeing what was going on and wanted to pull a dirty deal, and I'm laying out the plans, and all of a sudden Joey says, "Hey, Gerald, come on, man. We can't do that. That's dishonest." And I said, "Well, you stupid. What's wrong with you? Look what they're doing. Everybody's stealing. What are you going to do, play it straight? They just got your brother killed over in Afghanistan. Nobody has a job. They're stealing from us day and night. Oh, you're going to play it straight. You sucker." That's the mentality that's going on throughout the nation.
And worse.
And worse.
What's happening, and we've talked about this for a long time, Gerald, the young people now, so-called young people, they're old people by the time they're 15. They've seen it all. They've done it all. There's nothing left for them. Their stupid moron parents buy them cell phones when they're 9 and 10. They let them get tattooed. They let them run with cretins. They get them birth control pills when they're 13. It's over, folks. You don't somehow rehabilitate a lost child. They're done. When they're 16, 17, 18, they look old. They look spent. You look in their eyes. There's nothing there. More and more people are beginning to use the expression that I'm sure you used years ago. I think the majority of people are essentially soulless. I don't think they have souls in the traditional sense.
No, there isn't. I mean, where's their soul in the music? Where's their soul in the style? Well, there's no soul. People are disconnected from the neck down. They're dead. They're dead. And everyone walking around staring at their hand. Their handheld thing, and just, typing away on it, hitting the screen with their fingers. You can't make this stuff up out of a science fiction movie. That's how disconnected they are.
You cannot, and you would not, and I would rather watch science fiction than what I see walking around and acting as if they were the custodians of this planet. I just put another video up. I forget the name. It has to do, you'll find it in the featured stories, folks. It's also in headlines. It has to do with soy farming. This cash crop, high-protein soybeans, all Monsanto GMO soy, of course. And it dealt with the Brazilian, the Amazonian forests, the rainforest. They're torching them by the millions of acres. And they run in the combines and the planters and the Monsanto seeds, and they plant, and they grow, and they harvest, and they feed this poison-toxic crop to people all around the world. The destruction, the despoiling of this planet has never seen anything like it. Never in the history of this world that we know about. Now, 4.5 billion years, maybe the species has arisen and fallen many times in the past through its own stupidity, and it looks like it's on the way to doing that again. But what's happening in the Amazon jungles is so emblematic of how stupid and wantonly hideous this species has become. Not the common man and woman. We're talking about those who have been given control of the planet. And by God, they've been given control by the majority because we outnumber them 99.9 to 1. But look, every religion, every political group, every organization, everything that has a label on it seeks to do what? seeks to attract and bond with somebody. And every time someone adopts a label, what happens? The controllers have yet another fool, another idiot who can be pitted against someone else. My creep is better than your creep. Same thing. My religion is better than your religion. It's all right there, folks. And we'll be right back with the remarkable Gerald Celente in just a minute. Okay, back with Gerald. This horror called a presidential campaign season. I honestly am amazed, Gerald, that the Republicans have come up with someone who actually is going to allow the fraud, the criminal fraud in the White House, to win, if that's the right term, to be appointed, installed for a second term. Romney is unelectable.
I know.
The stench around the guy is abominable. This is quite an accomplishment for the Republicans. You got to think about it logically. My God, they made Obama look like all Obama has to do is keep his mouth shut and read his teleprompter with all the pablum they're going to give him to spew to the masses, which you're saying he's doing every day now. He didn't have to do anything.
Well, I know. We actually, if you go back to October 3rd, and we sent out a trend alert, and that was October 3rd, 2011, of course, and we said Obama in 2012, and we wrote about it also in the summer 2011 TrendsJournal. We predicted that this would happen. It was so easy to see, and as you said, how could they be so bad? How could they pick such terrible candidates? And it's very simple. That's who they are. That's who this whole system is. Let me pull this right up here. There we go. This is Celente picks 2012 presidential winner. Kingston, New York, 3 October 2011. And the next president of the United States will be teleprompter populist extraordinaire Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Should the Republicans nominate one of the three current frontrunners, and this was at that time, Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, and Michelle Bachmann, Barack, back on track Obama, wins despite poll showings him with just a 41% approval rating by playing the populist card he's already begun to deal. Forecast Gerald Celente, TrendsJournal publisher. And we go on to say how he's, why he'll be doing it. And we talk about the presidential reality show and how the Republicans, just what you were saying, on the hot button issue of Obamacare, Mitt, corporate raider Romney, has already out-Obama'd Obama with his Romney Care health care plan.
Yeah.
He pushed through as governor of Massachusetts. And besides, says Celente, polls show that 1/3 of Republicans won't vote for a Mormon, which cancels out anyone who says they won't vote for Obama because they think he's a Muslim.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's beyond belief. Now they're talking about who is he going to pick? What the hell difference does it make?
Well, yeah, who's he going to pick? Yeah, well, it made a big difference with Joe Biden.
Unbelievable.
I know. And the other thing is, when you listen to their economic policies and what they're planning for, the coming year, whoever gets elected, if you were in Economics 101 and your professor gave you a task or to do a paper on how you would improve the U.S. economy, and you gave the plans that these two clowns are spouting out, you'd get an F, or you'd be thrown out of the class. It would be so bad.
Yeah.
Yet, the prostitutes keep playing these cheap lines over and over again as though they have credence behind them.
Yeah.
And that these are actually people with a brain in their head that are speaking the lines rather than just wind-up dolls, puppets. There's not a pair of cojones among the whole crew before.
No.
with the Republican cast of characters and this one.
Couldn't agree more. It's right there. You're talking to what I believe to be the wisest, most intelligent audience in talk radio history. These people get it. They understand. They know.
There's some great illustrations, by the way, in the TrendsJournal. I don't know if you've gone through any of them, but
always, especially this one. I agree.
Yeah, Anthony Fried he's an award-winning graphic artist, and he has one of an elephant and a donkey that's just brilliant, and they're both speaking out of their behinds. That's where the mouths and the eyes and the faces and the Pinocchio noses are, and of course the cover is with Jesus beating the money changers out of the temple.
Yeah.
But of course the money changers have little placards that they're running from behind their desks: Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, etc., etc. And talking about Goldman Sachs, U.S. will not prosecute Goldman Sachs employees for abacus deal. Reuters, August 9th. Neither Goldman Sachs Group, Inc., better known as the Goldman Sachs Gang, nor its employees will face U.S. criminal charges related to trades they made during the financial crisis that were highlighted in 2011 U.S. Senate report, the Justice Department said on Thursday.
There it is. That is a great illustration, by the way.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
It's justice. They're spelling it wrong. It's Justus, just us. We're the only ones that get any punishment.
Exactly right.
That's what it's like in a fascist country.
Which is exactly where we are, folks. Back in a minute with Gerald. As I said, there is an aroma around mittens. All you got to do is read the headlines. You don't have to read the stories, as most Americans do now. Mitt Romney profited by $50 million in abortion business. Why is Mitt Romney losing? Does Romney start Bain Capital with death squad money? Dirty stuff. I could go on and on. You get the idea. It is really quite amusing, Gerald. You and I don't take this crap seriously. But to watch the Republicans actually running against the easiest target to knock off, probably that the Democrats have ever had in the White House in modern times, and have fallen on their face so grimly that the alleged polls have Romney at least 7% behind now. The guy is so busy licking boots that he doesn't have time to use his tongue to talk intelligently about anything and make any policy statements that have any substance. All he does is cater and beg and grovel. It's disgusting. I run out of words for it. I really have to intellectually disengage from it and stay away, or I would just get to the point where I wouldn't want to even talk about it at all, and it's my job to, as it is yours, to try to bring the reality of it all into focus. But this is something that has to look to those overseas, those even American expatriates, American tourists overseas, to be so embarrassing that they don't know what to say about it. It has to. But again, we've got that label paradigm. I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm an independent, whatever your label is. As soon as you adopt a label, folks, just remember, as soon as you adopt a philosophy, a creed, a belief system, a secret society membership, whatever it is, as soon as you do that, that begins to play a massively important role in your ego, your self-interesting expression on this planet. And what that means is you will defend that against somebody who is not in your club. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer. It really is quite simple. Social engineering, social conditioning, social programming is a hard science. Nothing is left to chance. Nothing is left to chance. Nothing happens accidentally. As soon as anything like the Tea Party presents itself with a potential alternative power base, it is penetrated and co-opted as fast as possible. Days, weeks, doesn't matter. They have tentacles in everything.
Well, my campaign slogan for 2012 is 40% or less. And so the lawn sign I'm going to put up is stay home, don't vote. I will not be a part of this lesser of two evils stupidity. I don't do business with lesser of two evils. I don't date lesser of two evils. I don't have friends that are lesser of two evils or associate with lesser of two evils. I certainly won't vote for a lesser of two evils to run my life, and I don't know why any self-respecting person would. So for me, it's 40% or less. If 40% or less of the people turn out at the polls, we can call this an invalid election. It can be dismissed as nothing more than a two-headed one-party race for the bottom.
There you go.
And I think it's the only solution. And people are going to say, well, if you don't vote, then you get what you deserve. If I vote, I get what I deserve. I get a lesser of two evils.
Right.
And they'll say, well, I'm going to vote for this guy or that guy. Well, you're wasting your vote because this guy or that guy or this woman or that woman is not going to amount to anything. So they're not going to get, 1%. So why waste it? By going, you make the whole other thing look legitimate. We need an entirely new system. And I agree with you that when change begins to happen, the entrenched powers move in to stifle it. And that's why I believe that the only way things are going to change is when the human spirit changes. And for the human spirit to change, people have to find the truth within themselves. And when the individuals change, and until that time, in my belief, nothing is going to change.
I agree, and you know how the controllers, of course, folks, do this to all viable Americans, is they bombard them constantly with electronic media. Diversion, diversion, diversion. They entice them, they allure them, they tease them, they taunt them, they put things in front of them to try to make them salivate like Pavlov's dog. They keep everybody looking in every direction imaginable except the one direction they really need to look, and that is within. Nobody looks within. And then you've got a lot of these phonies, and this is really a kicker, these fakes who pretend to be New Age or enlightened people, spiritual people. And, I got to laugh. And someone pointed this out recently. Here are all these spiritual people talking about make your own reality, go to the light, all the cliched buzzwords. And here are these people supposed to be spiritually advanced, and they're all eating meat. They eat animals. They eat meat. And if you study the factory farm system and understand what we're doing to these animals, and here are these spiritually advanced people, in quotes, eating meat. The hypocrisy in this country is beyond terminal now. Beyond. Again, there's no rehabilitation, in my view. We've got to go all the way down and out the other side. The kids are gone. The next generation of unborn are gone. You got parents who are incompetent. You basically have children having children. We're 2 generations down the rat hole. It's that bad. And you tell me how they're going to break away from mass mind control, the likes of which has never been seen on this planet? They always talk about Goebbels and the evil Nazis. My God, they were Cub Scouts compared to what's going on now. Edward L. Bernays started it in the 20s. He knew, he understood it. His uncle was Freud. He understood mass mind manipulation. He actually made Americans think that bacon and eggs were a necessary, mandatory, wonderful breakfast, among other things. This guy, Edward L. Bernays, we've done programs on him over the years. Gerald knows about him. Bernays, Bernays, in case you folks don't know. There's a great book out on him. But the idea of controlling the masses has never been easier, Gerald. It just hasn't. They know what they're doing.
Oh, they do. But, I also believe in the human spirit. And there are a lot of great people out there that don't buy into it.
Yes, there are.
And I really believe that there are enough to change the direction if the will is there. There are many more that want to go to a higher, more civilized plane than to sink down with the masses. And again, as we write in this Trends Journal, the people that should know better don't know better. The people that don't drink Diet Coke because they think they're going to lose weight. The people that don't eat McDonald's because they know it's not food. There are those people, but yet those people, the ones that even know better, those to me are the ones that have to find the truth because they still believe in their political gods and their ideologies.
Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely. All right, stand by. We'll do our little business here and come right back. Okay, I'm back with Gerald as we look around. Now we have, of course, the sideshow, the Carney Act called the Olympics. The Rothschild banking cartel, City of London, bankster, gangster Olympics. And everyone likes to see people excel in sports or whatever discipline they apply themselves to. It's great to see people surmount things, difficult lives, tough backgrounds, and come out. That's wonderful. But the money, we're getting stories about the enormous masses of money now being made by corporations, which are behind this thing. It's another huge feast. It's a ritual feast of money earning and exploitation. But that's the way we're doing it now. That's our chosen path as a species.
Well, when you think about the bread and circuses called the Olympics, and then let's go back to 2004, and you couldn't draw a better parallel. You remember who held them back then?
Oh, 2004?
Yep.
I really don't pay much attention to the Olympics, to be honest with you.
The reason I'm mentioning it is because it was that other great rich nation, Greece.
That's right.
That's right. Here they are. They don't have two drachma to rub together.
That's right.
And they spent all those billions down the tubes for their corrupt buddies. Oh, by the way, I was brought in by the Olympic Committee when they were deciding in Chicago. I think it was in 2011, where they were going to hold one of the Olympics, and they had a big meeting there. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, they didn't like my talk. I looked around. I said, "You guys are supposed to be the Olympics, raising the highest standard for everyone to follow, and your sponsors are McDonald's and Coke. How can you guys drink this crap?" So anyway, then the second time I had two talks. The second round, they put some big guy in fatigues. Army guy,
And what was he doing?
And they sat him in the front row, looking up at me, right, staring.
Intimidation?
Yeah.
Come on.
I swear to God. And I said to myself, this is funny. I said, this guy thinks he's going to, I'll change my act this time, just for you. But anyway, so I speak in front of, governments bring me around to talk to them as well. But I say what I want to say. But as you point out with the Olympics, it's nothing more than a corporate scam. And it's, as I said, when you look at Greece, and this is the perfect metaphor for the UK, because of course they're in a very severe recession. And then you look over at Italy. Well, they're in they're their fourth quarter of negative GDP growth, over 11% unemployment. In Spain, they're not reporting on the riots that are going on over there. Millions of people taking to the streets, crashing into grocery stores, supermarkets, emptying the shelves. Greece is out of control. It's turning into a rogue state in all manner. Crime rising. In Israel, another person set themselves on fire in protest of the difficult economic times ahead that are going on now, and with no future ahead. And that's important, because when you start adding all of this up, and this is what this TrendsJournal is about, the first great war of the 21st century has begun. There's war in Yemen. There's war in Bahrain. Of course, they're not reporting that. That's that wonderful emir over there that's running that dictatorship. And but of course, the Fifth Fleet is stationed there, so we can't say anything bad about him. Even though the Saudis have occupied Bahrain and are suppressing the Shia majority. And then you look what's going on in Syria, and isn't it something? Those wonderful democracies, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, all those Arab little leaguers with their dictators. Can't call them dictators, they're kings. Kings are good, emirs are nice. Autocrats are bad. And the people like Assad, they're bad, they're dictators. So here they are, sending all the arms for a pro-democracy movement in Libya. In Syria. I'll buy that one. And then we have total destabilization now in West Africa, thanks to the overthrow by NATO and the Arab Little League of Gaddafi. Mali is in shambles, and it's spreading throughout the region. Gaddafi was holding it together. Morocco next. Then you move over, as I mentioned, to Greece. How many people did they arrest yesterday? 1,800 illegal immigrants. Immigrants are flooding into Greece. They have been from Afghanistan, Iraq, Africa, and now that country's falling apart, so now they're going after the immigrants. And as I mentioned, Spain, 25% unemployment rate. Oh, and I love it. They're asking, is Spain going into another recession? Mm-hmm. Can anybody say depression? Mm-hmm. And it's only so what we're looking at is class warfare across the globe. The banks are failing in Slovenia as we speak right now, not making the news. Hungary is a mess. Same thing with their banking system. You go around the world, it's collapsing everywhere. Here's a date that I want everyone to put in their minds that cares about looking into the future to see how it's going to unfold. September 12th. That's right, one day after 9/11. The German Supreme Court, the version of their Supreme Court, their constitutional court, is going to decide on that day whether or not the German people will be giving up their complete sovereignty and all of their banking rights and put it in the hands of Brussels, because that's the only way that they're going to be able to buy time to funnel more money into the Eurozone to stop the European debt crisis. So what that means is that all of the banking sovereignty of the German people, and then by extension the Italians, the French, the Greeks, all of the Eurozone, all 17 nations, will no longer be sovereign nations, because the linchpin in all of this is Germany. If German sovereignty is given up on the 12th, then you're going to see this scheme, this Ponzi scheme, continue for another probably 1 or 2 years at least, as they come up with new Eurobond schemes and other things to make it look as though there's a recovery. on the flip side of it, if the Supreme Court, the Constitutional Court of Germany, decides not to give up the sovereignty of the people, it'll be the death of the euro in a day, virtually. So that's a big day for everyone to watch.
Well, the whole euro issue is painful to watch because we know what's going on. It's another massive takeover, consolidation, and it's a constriction of the life force of what was in it. Gerald, 25 years ago, Europe was Europe. It had countries that had culture, that had history, that had people, that had a wonderful way of life. They had their own identity. And the way that the Rothschild banking cartel in the city of London, all the banksters, all the cartel, the IMF, the world, doesn't matter.
The Trilateral Commission, this is Rockefeller's plan.
Bilderbergers,
to have a handful of central banks.
All there.
Yeah, they said it. It's there in black and white.
All there. There's only 3 countries in the world left who do not have a central banking system. I call it the Rothschild central banking model. Over here, it's called the Federal Reserve. It doesn't matter. It's still the same thing beholden to the City of London banksters. Only 3 countries left. North Korea, Cuba, and Iran. And then
of course, when you look at Iran, that's the linchpin also in the Middle East, because they don't want Syria. You know, people are forgetting that Israel got their clock cleaned in the last Lebanon war. They were thrown out and defeated because Syria has been the only real supporter of the Arab people, and of course, through extension, through Iran. And with Iran and Syria out of the way, the United States and Israel are free to take over the entire Middle East. That's what this is really about. It's about bringing down Iran. And now, as I mentioned, another person, the fourth in a month, an Israeli that set themselves on fire in protest of the economic conditions, Netanyahu's popularity rating, he has a 60% of the people are dissatisfied with him. And you know what politicians do. Remember Bill Clinton? Every time he was caught with a Monica Lewinsky scandal, it was bombs over Baghdad. Hey, let's send some cruise missiles into, what was it, Somalia somewhere? You know, so what they do is they divert the people's attention away from the problems. My greatest fear is a war with Iran, because it will be the beginning of World War III. I say this over and over again. Our lives will never be the same. We will be destroyed for generations. These are the Persians. They're not going anywhere. And now you're hearing the propaganda coming out. You just heard it from Lugar, that guy from Indiana, that senator. We have to stop Syria from owning chemical weapons.
They're going to come over here and light them off in Indianapolis and St. Louis and New York and Syracuse, New York. If we don't, they're going to be here with them.
And you know why? You know what the Syrians ostensibly said they would do? They said if they were attacked, they would use them
to defend themselves.
No. Only Israel has the supreme right to defend themselves.
That's right.
No one else does.
And don't you forget it.
Not Syria, not you, not me, not anybody.
Don't you forget it, folks. God, what a world.
And that's not an anti-Semitic statement. This is disgusting politics, and they're robbing us of our future. I don't want my money going anyway. Israel, Italy, China, Japan, Tokyo, Singapore, I don't care. I want my money to stay in America.
Amen, brother. Thank you, Gerald. Always an honor.
Thank you.
Be well.
Right. Good night.
Good night. Gerald Celente. All right, we'll be right back.